This is the story of my mother and how the effects of alcohol can just tear a family apart. With so much to live for, all the grandbabies, all the family, who still surrounded her with love. This is the effects of how alcohol can just turn somebody you love into somebody you would barely recognize. You have the reminders of the person they used to be all around you, and yet the person that they are is no longer there. So now all you're left with is just the reminders of what used to be and how close the family once was. This is my story. In this video, I'm going to be going over some graphic things that I want to talk about as far as alcoholism goes. So if you have a weak stomach or you're not prepared to actually listen to real-world alcohol problems, I suggest you click off this video because this is not a safe space. So as I sit here talking to you, my mother is in the hospital for, I couldn't even tell you how many times. I want to guess the sixth or seventh time that she's been committed to the hospital because she's just let herself go so far. And this last time we committed her because my dad had just had enough. He's been just having to take care of her like she's a 95-year-old woman. She can't control her bowels anymore. She can't control her urine. She just goes. She just can't control her bodily functions. She barely would eat anymore. She's lost all muscle tone. She can't even get out of the chair to walk. This last time, my dad actually tried to get her up the step to get her into the bedroom to lay down, and she lost her balance, or actually just her leg gave out, and she went down on the floor. And my mom is about 270 pounds, and my dad is about 130, and there's no way that he was going to be able to get her back on the couch. So she ended up sleeping on the floor, or laying on the floor that whole night and into the next day, and then the next evening.
As far as the month, is it January?
It is.
I thought.
What day is it?
What?
What day is it?
It's Monday.
Monday?
Yeah.
And Dad's not supposed to be home?
No.
So he called in?
Yeah.
For what?
I don't know.
You know what time it is?
No.
How long have you been on the floor?
All night.
Yeah? Why?
Because it's not comfortable.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Can't you get up?
I haven't tried.
No?
No.
Why don't you try?
Because I'm not in the mood right now.
Well, today's Sunday. It's not Monday. So Dad's got off
Why?
work. Why what?
Why do you say that?
Why is it Sunday?
Yeah.
Because it's Sunday. It's not Monday.
Well, Dad had to call into work today.
No, I didn't have to work today because it's Sunday.
What?
You need to get some help.
I know, Ray.
Why don't you let us get you some help? And it's just happened too many times that, you know, it's just happened too many times. We've really lost hope, to be honest. So my mom's been an alcoholic for probably the last 8 years, and at first I really blamed myself because I moved out to South Dakota right after high school, and that's when it seemed like I would get calls from my sister, you know, saying that, you know, mom's drinking more. You know, like when we have family get-togethers, mom's drinking more. You know, it's kind of funny to see her like this, but then again, it's kind of, you know, kind of worries me. You know, that's what she would say. And after I moved back from South Dakota, I was living with my parents again, and I didn't really notice it a whole lot, but I would notice that there was more alcohol in the house, you know, more boxed wine and more wine bottles, shit like that. But as far as her getting just, you know, knockout, belligerent drunk, I didn't really notice it a whole lot until like a year after I was living back home. And, you know, we would come over every Sunday to watch the NASCAR race with my dad and my mom. But it just got to a point where we would have to leave early, or, you know, me and my mom would get into yelling matches because she was drunk. She was just hammered by the end of the night. And different alcohols would turn her into a different person. Wine would make her very belligerent and angry. And really, wine was her drink of choice. Chardonnay and shit like that was her drink of choice, and it would just turn her into just such an angry, like, evil person. And that's when we had our most, like, yelling matches. As the years went on, you know, things just really got worse. The family didn't want to come around anymore. And before this, you know, you saw the pictures before this video. We were such a tight family, you know, like cookouts throughout the summer, birthday parties. We would throw birthday parties for, you know, even the adults. But as the years went on and my mom got worse, it was just like nobody wanted to come around anymore, you know, to deal with that. And, you know, this is my story of how alcoholism destroys families. And I mean, for the most part, I wouldn't say we're destroyed, but we're heavily fractured. We're almost to that breaking point. I have an older brother and an older sister. My older brother rarely comes around anymore. Actually doesn't come around anymore with his wife and their kid. They've distanced themselves from the whole situation. His wife's mother is a recovering alcoholic, so she's been trying to help my sister give advice. And as mean or bad as some of the advice sounds, it's necessary. But for my sister, it's really hard for her to want to give in and I guess not accept, but well, maybe accept the fact that, you know, our mom doesn't have that much time left. And I've always been pretty harsh and critical on my mom as far as her drinking goes. I don't really hold back. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten into screaming matches with her about her drinking, you know, and telling her straight up how it's affecting the family. And I always thought that it would change once me and my fiance got pregnant and had our child, had our son. I really thought that it would open her eyes and, you know, kind of make her realize that she has so much to live for. But it didn't. She ended up, my only request to her at the baby shower was that she wouldn't drink, while she was at the baby shower. But a day later, I found out that she was drinking, and I went ballistic. Yeah, I just screamed like at the top of my lungs at her, and she just sat there, and like it didn't even faze her. And when my niece got pregnant with her husband, and they had their son, we hoped that something would change, but if anything, it's just gotten worse. We try to get her to let us help her. She claims she wants help, but it's just been a cycle. Her body would get so weak and so bad to the point where she would need to go to the hospital. And we've always thought that when you hit rock bottom, that's when you would wake up and say, I need help. But I'll give you a few quick examples. My mom has gotten so bad to where my parents lived next to a cornfield. She was stashing bottles in the first few lines of the rows of corn. And my dad came out one day and found her crawling, like by the cornfield because she couldn't get up. She was so drunk and weak. But she had enough strength to crawl out of the house to the cornfield to get a bottle. My dad, it's funny, but it's not funny. One night my dad was crawling into bed, and he hops into bed and goes to put his head on the pillow, smacks his head. Turns out there was a bottle in the sheet, or in the pillowcase, and he smacked his head on the bottle. So where she had gotten to the point of hiding the alcohol, and we thought she had hit rock bottom when my dad found her crawling to the cornfield. Another time, my niece, my brother's daughter, she was having major brain surgery, and my sister came to pick my mom up, and it was probably 7 o'clock in the morning. My mom was already hammered drunk. She had fallen trying to get into the car. I don't remember. Actually, they did take her down to the hospital, and needless to say, my brother and sister-in-law were furious because of the way my mom was acting, just drunk, just furious. And I guess for an alcoholic, they don't have any shame. It doesn't matter to them. It just really doesn't matter. They don't have any shame. They don't think about others. When I guess the bottle has a hold of them. Now the time where we really thought that she had hit rock bottom, and we really thought that she was going to get help, was she had actually gotten so bad at home where, again, she couldn't walk. She was soiling herself. And she was actually throwing up blood at this point. She called my sister. My sister rushed over here. And the sight that my sister said she saw and had to clean up, she just, wouldn't wish that on anybody. My mom was covered in her own feces, urine, blood from throwing up. There's blood all over the floor in their bedroom. And, my sister had to call an ambulance and, try to clean her up, waiting for the ambulance. And I think this has been just the hardest on my sister. My sister's always been the one to go to the hospital. She took FMLA, which is Family Medical Leave Act, where you won't get fired for, family emergencies, stuff like that. I can't tell you how many weeks my sister has missed off of work because she's been at the hospital or at the nursing home trying to take care of my mom or get her affairs in order. And it's taken a toll on her health as well. Her health is to be honest, going down. Just worrying constantly about my mom. Worrying about my mom's health. And she says she cries constantly because she's just a wreck. And I don't know if I've just kind of come accustomed to the fact of realizing that, I don't know, that at any time she could really just go. Just because it feels like we've already lost her. She's all... there's just nobody there when I come over and, she's just sitting on the couch. She'll look up at you and just blink, So I guess I've already become accustomed to the fact that she's already gone. She's just a living, breathing body on the couch that you can't communicate with. You can't just... she's gone. Again, I mean, that's probably the saddest part, is not being able to remember, not being able to remember conversations that, you've had with your own mother. That's what is the saddest part to me. And I feel so terrible for my dad. I realized it was really bad when my dad he actually started to cry to me one night. He actually started to cry to me one night because he says he just couldn't take it anymore. The constant verbal abuse from her, pour me another drink, make it a strong one, constantly having to clean her up, wearing diapers, wearing Depends. Every day he gets home from work and has to clean her up. Every night has to shampoo the couches. This is why when I come over, we can't sit on the couches because they're all soiled. And it's just been so hard for my dad. And I guess what makes matters worse is my dad is considered a working alcoholic or a functional alcoholic, which means that he can go to work and not have a drink, not have a lick of anything, but the moment he comes home, he pours that rum and coke. That's his drink of choice ever since I was a kid. I always thought it was normal to have a 2-liter of Coke in the house. It wasn't until I got older and I realized, like, yeah, the 2-liter Cokes are in the house for his rum and coke. And that's what makes things so much shittier about this situation is my mom will go to hospital. She'll go to rehab. And I should say physical rehabilitation to get her physical body back in shape. She'll come home, claim that she wants to get help, and it's for nothing because the alcohol is still in the house. My dad cannot get rid of the alcohol, and that's the shittiest part about this whole situation. That it's taking such a toll on my dad, but he doesn't think he has a problem. But it's taken such a toll on my dad that he's crying to me, he's crying to my sister, you know, saying that he misses his wife. He misses the way things used to be. But yet he's not strong enough to get rid of the bottle. You know, and I told him this last time. I'm like, if mom comes back home, there cannot be any alcohol in this house. And you know, he just makes an excuse saying, well, if we don't have alcohol here, she's still going to be able to get it somehow, you know, somehow else. She could take a taxi, you know, she could take a cab, go to the store and get, you know, run in and get some liquor. And it's at that point you just know that that excuse is for himself, that he can't come to the facts that he's an alcoholic also. And it's like, you know, we really don't have any hope left as a family anymore. You know, the biggest piece of hope that we had was my mom. She agreed to finally go down to Florida and go to a treatment center for alcoholism. She made it 3 days before she booked her own flight home. And this is the last pattern. This is where we're at now, where she's at the hospital currently. She's going to be going into the physical rehab center to gain her strength back. And then she'll come home again. And I'm telling you right now, 2017 is probably going to be the year that we're going to lose my mom. And as far as the help, as far as help from state, as far as help from state programs, it's all bullshit. We've had my sister has been in contact with social workers. We've been trying to figure out a way to, you know, take like power of attorney, you know, that we would get power of attorney to pretty much commit my mom, you know, into an institution or into a rehab facility. But they claim you can't take power of attorney away, you know, unless the person doesn't know who you are, doesn't know what month it is, doesn't know who's president, you know, current events and things like that. And if they would come here, if they would walk in this house, smell the urine, you know, see her sitting on the couch, just catatonic, you know, it's like, would they do something then? Just, there's no help for alcoholics like this far gone. There's just no help. And the only way that an alcoholic is going to get help is if they help themselves. If they realize that they need help. And along with her alcoholism is her depression. She's very depressed. And like my dad just feels like she's just given up. You know, she would barely eat anymore and just have no motivation for anything. It's all she wants to do is just sit on the couch, watch reruns of the Game Show Network, and drink, you know, with the blinds closed, lights off, under a blanket. And that's not the way I imagined my parents going into their retirement years. You know, you probably picture yourself having a child and your parents, you know, coming over to your parents' house, you know, with your child and, you know, having them run up to grandma and grandpa, you know, big hugs, you know, grandma and grandpa spoiling, you know, your child, you know, giving them candy and things, little sweets that they shouldn't have. You know, the family coming over for barbecues, you know, throughout the summer. You know, just having family time. And I honestly, I can say that I'm the only one who really comes over here anymore. as far as the grieving process has gone for me, as far as my mom's alcoholism, I've gone through denial. I've gone through anger. I've gone through sadness. I've gone through anxiety. Just being very anxious, wondering what was going to happen next. I've gone through more anger. I've almost gone to the point of just cutting her off completely. But then I came to the realization that that if she's not going to get better, these are my anger towards her alcoholism. That's not how I want to remember her by. And so more recently, I've actually started coming over and tried having actual conversations with her. I would bring my son over, so she could see him. And, she cries and says that she misses the grandkids. So, I do what I can just to, try to, I don't know, if these are her final days, just to try to make her final days as good as they can be for her and myself. And the only thing that I'm glad of is right now my son doesn't understand. He doesn't understand alcoholism. He doesn't understand why grandma can't get up and play with him. But I've tried letting go of the hate. I've accepted it. I've accepted that this might be the last year that she'll be around. At least that's what it feels like, the way things have been going. And I just don't know if the family can be repaired. I mean, we used to be so close, and now it's so hard to describe how you've gone your whole life into your adult life being so close with a family, so close to your family unit, and it all dissolve. It's so hard to explain. So I know I didn't cover everything that I wanted to cover in this video, but if you have a loved one that is dealing with alcoholism and they're not to the point where my mom is, please plead with them to get help. Plead with them, do whatever you can to get them help, because you don't want it to get to the situation where we're at now. I mean, to walk into the house that you grew up in, that you were raised in, you grew up in, to come into the house and just be hit with the smell of urine and sometimes feces, it's just please get help. If you're an alcoholic watching this video, get help. If you have family around that still loves you and they're still there for you, get help for them. Above all, get help for yourself. You're missing so much in life. You're missing so much with your family. It's not only hurting you, it's hurting everybody around you. It's hurting your loved ones, just your friends, everybody who you've once had something special with. Just get help.